Back to the Culture Call on Praise 93.3 with L. Spencer Smith. Our desire is to reach and empower the community by discussing a cross-section of relevant topics from various perspectives that are essential to its growth and interpersonal connections. Be sure to save our call-in number, 205-752-4800. Be sure to install the free Praise 93.3 app so you can send L. Spencer Smith a message or topic idea. Search for WTSK in your app store.
This is the world premiere. Great morning, precious people. You know what time it is. That's right. It's time for the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3 FM. That's right. It's the place where Tuscaloosa indeed meets the world. And for the next 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., we're going to be talking a little bit about everything. Y'all know how we do it, from society to sports, education to economics, and definitely from religion to relationships. And as always, we are here every day to create a safe space to have empowering, provocative, and sometimes controversial conversations. And guess what? You can call in right here and chat it up with us right here on the Culture Call as we learn together. Listen, I am so super glad to be back in the studio. I've been off for about a week. But I am here live this morning. Absolutely. Hey, listen, I'm telling you, welcome to all of our first-time listeners to the CC family. Welcome. That's right. Maybe this is your first time listening to the Culture Call. I want to take a profound insistence to say welcome. Welcome to the Culture Call. I am so elated that you are here listening to us and joining us today. I'm telling you, we have a blast here for 2 hours every day right here on Praise 93.3, talking a little bit, yes, indeed, about what are the issues of the day. And so I'm grateful as you are driving or you're sitting at your desk. Maybe a friend just passed you the link and say, hey, check it out. Bishop is on the line. Guess what? I want to say thank you. And as always, definitely want to say thank you to our recurring listeners who listen every day. When you have a chance, you sit here with me, you call in. Yeah, that's what you do. And I am super duper excited for what you bring to the table. Hey, guess what? March is my anniversary month. I was off doing my anniversary. I think I started in March 6th of last year. And I'm telling you, I am grateful to be on the air for a year right here on the Culture Call. And you guys have made it what it has been forever and a day. And I am grateful. I cannot tell you how resplendently pleased I am to have you as a part of my CC family. And we give a shout out always to Brother Jay. I'm telling you, he is the man with the plan, keeping it hot, playing the best in good gospel music and passing me that hot baton every day. He's been doing it for a while now, for a year. That's right. He's been passing me that hot baton, and I've been doing the best I can, like the old saints say, to run on to see what the end gonna be. That's right. And hey, we've been having a blast, and we're going to continue. If you stick with us, we're going to continue to make this what it needs to be, which is the number one talk show right here on Praise 93.3 FM. That's right, your inspiration station. Listen, I want you to do me a favor. I'm going to encourage everybody to go to your app store. That's right. Get your Apple or your Android device, or whatever kind of device that has an app store. That means simply it's a store where you can download particular programs or whatever it is. Go there, and I need you to go to the search bar and put in Praise 93.3 FM. There you will find a free app. That's right. Free 99 app. It doesn't cost you a thing. Go ahead and put it on your phone. Log in. That's right. So that you can hear what's going on. That's right. You can hear the Culture Call from wherever you are. You can be traveling at your desk with your AirPods in, because we don't want to disturb anybody, Don't want you to get in trouble, but we want you to hear what we're talking about. Or, listen, I'm telling you, you can be anywhere. You can be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Miami, Florida. You can be in Dallas, Texas. Yeah, you can be in New Orleans, Louisiana, and definitely right here in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Mobile, Montgomery, and Huntsville. Reform, Gordo, Utah, Bowler-G. Doesn't matter where you are. Clanton, yeah. Coleman, all, and every space in between. Once you download that app, you can hear us from wherever you are, Thank you all for sending so many, checking on me. Hey, where you been? Hey, good. I'm glad that, the show still goes on. We just recorded at our house, or we played a pre-recorded show, but thank you all for checking on me. Your boy is all right. Guess what? I just finished my last, touch your neighbor and say his last, my last intensive of a 3-year journey in seminary at the School of Theology at Virginia Union, Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology there at Virginia Union. And I am graduating. That's right. I am graduating on May 11th. I am graduating this year with my Master's of Divinity. That's right. Going forward to pursue my doctorate. Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. A wonderful time, but you all have stuck with me, and I'm telling you, it has been an uphill journey, but I trusted the process. Guess what? And I'm about to graduate. And so last week, we were in our last intensive. I'm one of the scholars there at school, John W. Kenney Scholar for Transformational Leadership, and we had to take a trip all last week. And I'm telling you, I'm going to talk a little bit about that trip too. It was right here in Alabama at the at the Equal Justice Institute in Montgomery. And my goodness, what a time we had. My goodness. So much to talk about. It was just so moving. A lot of feeling and a lot of emotion there as we visited the lynching museum. I'm telling you. But yeah, nonetheless, hey, thank you all for sending me, checking on me, but also a lot of you all sent me your public service announcements. That's right. theculturecall.praise@gmail.com. That's right. You sent it to me, and I want to say thank you. And some of your events were in a time where I was not in the studio, so I didn't have a chance to announce it, but I am back in the studio. Yes, send it to me at culturecall.praise@gmail.com, and I want to let Lottie, Dottie, and everybody know what's happening at your church and your organization, whether it's your fraternity or sorority, whether you're an artist getting ready to have a concert or a preacher getting ready to have a good old-fashioned revival. We want to let everybody know what is happening in your neck of the woods and how important it is, the programming that you provide for our community. You know why? Because we do it better when we do it together. And as always, you can call in. That's right. Call in and talk to me at 205-752-4800. That's 205-752-4800. And you can call in and chat it up with me and be a part of the conversation that we're having. Also, you can hit me up on Facebook. That's right. Follow us on our Facebook page, The Culture Call, and you can drop in your comments there. You can see what we talked about during the week or what we're going to talk about at the top of the morning, at the top of the show. And yeah, you can stay in tune. So go ahead and follow me there. One last thing. Bishop, I missed your past shows. I was at work. I had to go to the mall. I was in the doctor's office. I was tending to the kids. Whatever that is, that's whatever it is. Guess what you can do? You can go to Apple Podcasts. If you have an Apple phone, and maybe we've expanded by now, but I know we are on Apple Podcasts. Go ahead and search out Culture Call. Leave the article "the" off and just search Culture Call. You're going to see my mug right there. You're going to see my face there and all of our past, shows. So if you missed something, if you missed today's show or a part of today's show, guess what you can do? You can always go ahead and listen to what I've said in the past, right? You can be a part of that show anyway. You can still send me a comment. And definitely, let's chat it up because I want to know what you think. Hey, do what? Guess what? Sit back and relax. Grab you some coffee. You know how we do it, Maxwell House of Starbucks? Or if you don't like coffee, get you some tea, some herbal tea, some chamomile. If you're trying to calm down and rest your nerves, definitely can get you some green tea, fruit infused, raspberry, peach, whatever you like, green tea, and get you a little caffeine kick. And as always, you can definitely get some alkaline water. You know, my favorite is Essentia. And go ahead and detox that body. That's right. Get out all that stuff, all those things you've been eating wrong. Get out of all of that. Yeah. And give your cells some love. Give your cells, because your cells and your blood stuff, yeah, they need love too, right? And let's go ahead and get into the culture. Listen, I want to send a shout out, first of all, to all of my beautiful sisters, all of my beautiful sisters, as this is Women's History Month. Yeah, Women's History Month. And I've been itching to get back in the studio to talk about Women's History Month because of all of the amazing women that have done so many awesome things in the world, past, present, and I know we are raising our daughters to make a mark on this world in the future. But let me tell you something. We are absolutely proud of all of the women who have made their mark in history, whether it is widespread or widely known, or whether just a few in your community know it. Guess what? We could not be who we are in any level without the agency, the person, the value, the worth, and the work of women. And so we are super, super excited to talk about them this month. And even as we have rolled out of Black History Month, there are women who are sisters who have made an indelible print in the lives and in the fashioning and the making of America, its culture, its foundation, its present context in the future, right? I'm telling you. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. And I want you all, as much as you possibly can, to just lean into this conversation as we start off with this moment, this centering moment about, we're going to talk about building up the sisters. That's what we're talking about today, building up the sisters. That's right. We want to talk about how we can and why we should build up the sisters. I want to take us to maybe about a month or so ago, a professor at my school, Virginia Union. She's a pastor in Memphis, Tennessee, Dr. Gina Stewart. And the Dr. Gina Stewart is the pastor of Christ Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. I have heard her preach. I have witnessed her ministry. She is an astute leader. She is a thinker. She is powerful in her elocution. That means that she can get it done. I mean, better than any guy that I've ever heard, any man that I've heard preach. She can stand 10 toes down and get it done. Well, she preached at the Joint Baptist Convention session a month ago, and there was a little bit of controversy there, and we discussed it in our school. We discussed it in our classroom about some of the faces, some of the comments. Her preaching was removed. They said it was hacked, but no one else's sermon was hacked. So, then there's that. I'm not going to deal with the veracity of that statement. But what I will say is that she did what needed to be done. And talking about Claudia, right? That wasn't the full context of her sermon, but she ended, part of her celebration was about Claudia, who is Pontius Pilate's wife, right? And she was amazing, but it created a level of conversation about the place and the agency, the power of women. And I'm telling you, it was just mind blowing. Some of the comments that were made. It was mind blowing about some of the comments that were spoken about whether not how good she was, or not how anointed or what she was, or how not if about the whole issue that was there. The conversation was about, should a woman be able to preach, right? And it was just amazing. I mean, it was just the conversation was like, who gave her the right to? And of course, that conversation was predominantly men, not only men, but also women who aligned themselves with misogynistic and patriarchal thinking, that they negated her genius, they negated her being, they negated her presence, watch this, to make it seem like she was illegal or it was anti-God, anti-Christ, right? For her to even be up there preaching. Number one, she was preaching in the morning session, which is not the session that all the people come. We know that the night session is normally the one where everybody they have to have overflows and all that, right? But there were people and men literally. I saw it on YouTube that was sitting there uninterested. She's preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, but they were uninterested because it was not coming from a man. And I sat there and I thought about what is the big deal when we look at when we look at the scale and the scope of what women bring to the church. We're not going to just we're not going to deal with the entire culture, not even the entire world. Just the church, what women bring, the stability, the foundation, the monetary resources, the help and the support, the brain power, the thought that they bring to the church. And then we will relegate them to every portion of the service and of the ministry. But here it is, this woman who is degreed, I'm talking about academically degreed. Nobody gave her a doctorate. And she's not one of these ones that you call doc and they can't even conjugate a verb. Don't get me started. Right? She's not one of those folks. She's one of the people that can get it done from an area of an intelligentsia and inspiration, right? And they folded their arms. They were reading in their phones. I'm like, bro, are you going to be this obvious? I'm talking about pastors of congregations and leaders were making it seem like she was doing something wrong. And my question at that time and my question still now is, why is that kind of strength coming from a woman so intimidating? Because biblically, if we exegete the scriptures properly and if we use hermeneutical prowess as we need to, as we should, yes, then we will come to understand that when you read a text in isolation, you will always come up with the wrong intention of God's divine desire and his mind, right? And so when you read a text like in Corinthians, let the women keep silent in the church, and you do not put that text in proper context, you make Paul the enemy. You make the scriptures the enemy, and you make it seem like God is co-signing the foolishness that we purport in his church, which is absolutely false. It's absolutely wrong. That when you do a deep dive study into what Paul was addressing in that particular church, the culture of the Corinthian church, of which he did not say in Ephesians, he didn't say in Colossians, he didn't say in Galatians, he didn't say in Philippians, he didn't say in Second and Thessalonians, he didn't even repeat that again. When you begin to see what he was trying to set into order, you will understand why he said that. I agree why Paul said that. Once you read the text and once you dive into it and do a study on the text, I agree. In that church, women should have kept silent. And so therein lies the background narrative. But then is Paul schizophrenic? You would have to ask that question. Is Paul schizophrenic when he says over in Galatians, in Christ, there is no Jew, no Greek, no male, no female, no bond, no free, that we are all one in Christ. When Paul opens up letters and celebrates the agency and the work of women when he does his treatise to particular churches, is Paul schizophrenic? Is Paul understanding his time and then Paul addressing specific instances, right? Because Paul is an apostle. So part of his design is to set order and to govern, right? So he's trying to arrange a very young organism in the earth and called the church. Now, here's the deal. Part of the problem with that notion is, as it is today, that when the church was founded, it was founded on a new principle that Christ was building, but it was founded on a particular Jewish concept or ideology or mind frame, right? So most of the people that made up the church in the beginning were Jews, which is, if you read the Bible from beginning to end, you will see, especially in the Old Testament context, which these people are coming out of, they're introduced to grace. They're introduced to universal agency. They're introduced to as many as would receive him. To them, he gave power to become, right? They're being introduced, but their mentality, their tradition, their religion is the patriarchal society of Jewish context and culture and community, right? So a lot of times women don't have that kind of agency in the minds of people. That doesn't mean that's what God ordained. That simply means, watch this, that their ideologies and their traditions make it of such that most of the interesting movements that Christ did in his ministry from beginning to end, from the beginning to a Mary having him and a Mary telling the disciples who were hiding that the Christ is risen, that Jesus is has arisen. And this month's resurrection, right? We celebrate Easter, or however you want to call it, resurrection, Easter, however that is. You know what we're talking about. But Mary's are the bookends, not Peter's, not John's, not Mark's, not Matthew, not James. No, Mary's are the bookends. The story starts with Mary and the story ends with a Mary, right? It goes into the next context of its phase with a Mary proclaiming. So if that is the case, and all in between, you see Jesus moving with intentionality and specificity to empower the agency of women in the text, right? And so if this is what he's doing, if Jesus, he's even confronting his own Jewish sensibilities of himself as a person when he deals with women. At any rate, I'm talking about a woman with the issue of blood, woman caught in adultery. I'm talking about Mary Magdalene. I mean, the widow of Nain, the Syrophoenician widow. He's dealing with the woman who's looking for her daughter to be healed. And he said, shall I give the children's bread to the dogs? And she says, even the dogs eat the crumbs off of the master's table. I mean, all of that. If you look at the significant narratives, the woman at the well, the significant narratives of what Jesus did in his ministry, he's dealing with women. Because he's empowering an agency that has yet to be empowered, right? Right? And even women in the old Bible, in the Old Testament, coming to Moses setting up this law that if a man has land and possessions and he does not have a son, that even if he has daughters, that they couldn't get an inheritance. And the daughters of Zelophehad, the 5 daughters of Zelophehad, said, wait a minute, hold it. We know our father didn't have a son, but are we not deserving of our due? Should we just allow everything that our father worked for to go to some other person or to be split between men simply because we're women? And Moses had to adjudicate that. Moses said, you know what? You girls are right. So there are glimpses of the power and the agency of women that we've got to begin to discuss. And why is female agency, right? Why is the agency of a woman, the skill, the brilliance of women such an intimidating issue in the world in which we live? Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just a few days ago, I was looking online and was listening to a particular Trump supporter, and he says, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm never going to vote for a woman. She doesn't even need to be on the stage. She should be in the kitchen. I'm talking about, this is 2024. That she just have baby. She don't even need to be there. So you're going to vote for someone who has been documented to be a sexual abuser and a rapist of women, convicted of sorts, had just put up $91 million for a bond. You're going to support him and not support a woman? Is that what we're doing? And so I want to challenge us, Culture Call, of what we really see in America, which with regards to our sisters. It's one thing to give them a month and celebrate their achievements. Push pause. But you're giving them a month to celebrate their achievements. You know why? Because they have achieved. And they have achieved in spite of. Whether they are black or white, Hispanic, doesn't matter, Asian, guess what? They have achieved in spite of the odds being against them. The odds being against them. And that is something that we need to address. That is something that we've got to say, wait a minute, hold on. Why is it so intimidating? Right? Why does a woman who goes through the process, who goes to school, get her bachelor's, goes to school, get her master's of divinity, get her PhD, her doctor of ministry, that she can do that from an educational standpoint and do all of the work, write books, have professorships and all of those things, and then relegate her to a lectern on the floor. But we will give a man who has no educational background, we would give all of those accolades to him. We would call him Doc, who, listen, and we don't even know if he's got a DED or a high school diploma. We don't know if he finished any years of college. We don't know if he has an associate's degree, but we will regard him as a doctor, right? Before, and let him get up there and eisegete the text, mess up the whole scripture, and because he might have a sweet hoop, we might give him, he might travel all over the city and every church. But a woman who has the bona fides, who has all of the work and all of the study of years and labor, and we regard her and place her on the floor. And nobody got a problem with that? Nobody has an issue with that? Nobody. You mean to tell me no one has an issue with that? And we should, in the 2020 and 2024, we should have an issue with that. You know why? Because we're raising our daughters, our nieces. Yes. We're raising a new generation, and we're telling our daughters to be all they can be until she does what she has to do, but we treat her as a second-class citizen. We treat her as if she doesn't have the same level of agency and merit simply because of what she has been biologically made to be. Are we so non-thinking, unserious, that we would celebrate Women's History Month but negate all that we celebrate, saying that she doesn't have a right? If she can be a doctor, if she can be a lawyer, why can't she not be a preacher? Why can't she not be a leader? Why can't she not be a leader even of the free world? Why is that? And we have to start asking ourselves some very serious questions. Yeah. And I'm here to challenge that. I want to know, what is it? Because guess what? No one would be on the planet from past, present, and future if it's not for the strength, the power, and the worth, the value, and the work, the labor, literally and figuratively, of women. And so we need, as we celebrate Women's History Month, let's be serious about it. And let's challenge the questions. Let's ask the questions and challenge ourselves to think outside of a non-existent box that has existed because there are few people on the earth gendered to think that it is God's ordained agency for only them to have power. And we need to begin to rethink that. And maybe we have told a lie on the divine. Maybe that because of our lack of study, and maybe we've not done a full Christological view of what really Jesus came to do. And that wasn't just to free men and subjugate women to the corner, but it was to free everyone. Absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe we need to look at another translation other than the King James text that was written in a misogynistic and a patriarchal way. Absolutely. Listen, we're going to have a great conversation. We're going to talk about building up the sisters. That's what I'm going to do. I'm committed today. Y'all give me a call, hit me up on the chat, but keep it right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith on Praise 93.3 FM. Keep it locked. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Culture Call with yours truly, L. Smith on Praise 93.3 FM, your inspiration station. We're talking about building up the sisters in honor of Women's History Month. Yes, to all of our brilliant, beautiful sisters. Yeah, aunties, mamas, sisters, nieces, play mamas, stepmothers, church mothers, whoever you are, right? Matrons, whoever you are. We want to celebrate you and all that you do for us to make us who we are, right? And sometimes, like Jesus, you serve and you bless so many people, but they don't come back to say thank you. We want to say this entire month, thank you for being who you are. And yes, we had an opening. I wanted to stretch and bring an understanding of the agency and how, if we're not careful, y'all, if we are not careful and we don't confront some of the things we were taught. See, let me say this. Just because you were taught a thing does not mean that it was right. Just because you've held on to it for such a long time doesn't mean that you were, taught the right thing. And so we've got to visit some of the things that we were taught. And that might be painful. And I get it. That might be painful because you got to say, I was wrong all this time. I messed up. As a person who is evolving, as a preacher, as a pastor, as a father, as a husband, I can tell you of the many times that I had to revisit things that I had been taught and had seen since I've been a child and had heard, that I had to come back and say, you know what, I was absolutely wrong in the way that I viewed that. And that's what growth is. It's not just learning, but it's also unlearning what you've learned, right? That why would we expect in this context, why would we expect that God said in the beginning that man should not be alone? It's not good for man to be alone. Yeah. And then he makes a woman as a partner, as a companion, not as a servant, not as anything that is indentured to work off her debt, not as a slave. Absolutely not. In the mind of God from the beginning, that a woman was a co-equal partner because God understood, not even that man. God understood that in order for that man to be and to realize and to become all that he needed to be, that he needed to be, that God put him to sleep, gave him deep anesthesia, pulled out of him, caused him a rib, made the woman, and presented the woman to him. Right? Now, we're not going to talk about whether, because Paul says, man, we know male man was made first and then the woman. We understand. We're not talking about, but it wasn't an issue of ranking. It wasn't an issue of hierarchy. It was the issue of facility. Right? And and when I say facility, it was an issue of understanding what your particular co-equal roles are, and they may be different. Man, you can't have a baby. Man, there's no gestation period for a male man. There is no getting pregnant for a male man, right? That agency was given to woman, right? Right? That the multiplication factor has been given to women. Yeah? The growth factor has been given to women. The issue of protection and covering has been given to man. But if you look at it from a position of rank and hierarchy, you would think that men are more important. When in fact, that's not what God had on his mind. No. He said in the beginning, let them have dominion. So it was already in God's mind. Women wasn't a mistake. She wasn't an added thing that God, mysteriously said that. No. She came in the time in which she was needed. She was made in the time in God's mind in which she was needed. And if you read the Genesis narrative, because I know I've got some great Bible readers on this Praise 93. Yeah. If you read it from the beginning, when he created the spirit of man, he said, let them have dominion. Let them be fruitful. Let them multiply. Let them replenish. Let them subdue and have dominion. If you look at that, there at that time, there was no physical embodiment. God is speaking of the spirit of himself in the first initial Genesis narrative. There are two Genesis narratives in chapter number 1 And then in chapter number 2, chapter number 1 deals with the universe and the cosmology of all of the earth, right? And then Genesis chapter number 2 deals specifically with this man being made, this human anthropological understanding. That's Genesis 2. So there are 2 Genesis narratives that were written to understand the beginning of all things. You feel me? Absolutely. Right? But then nowhere in that text does God make her subservient. She only loses stature and ranking equal to him as a part of Genesis 3, as a part of the fall. Yeah, the quote unquote Nephilim of humanity, right? That when they disobeyed God was when rank was created. Right? And so when you read it from and you start your scriptural readings from Genesis 3, then yes, I could see how you surmise that the intentions of God, was to make woman second to man. Right? But that was a penalty, not just to the woman, but it was also a penalty to the man. Right? That part. Right? But you don't start off reading the text in understanding to gain a full understanding from Genesis 3. You start off with 1 and 2. And when you read 1 and 2, there was equal agency there. Just different purposes and different places of where each creation, male and female, man and woman, fall into the narrative of God. Right? And so here we are in 2024 still having to talk about that because we've not mastered unlearning the destructive tendencies of negating each other's worth in being. Right? We've not gotten out of that mindset to think that all women exist for is the kitchen and the bedroom and the choir and Sunday school. That's where we see them. But you've got to understand when you think like that, number one, that is not according to the divine narrative, the full divine narrative. You're starting your understanding from Genesis 3, which you should not. Number 3, you also are minimizing the power of a co-dominion community. That when men and women see the value of each other. You know why we don't have a men's history month? Because basically all of history has been his story. And then when she comes and wants to tell her story, the intimidation comes because guess what? We've operated from this patriarchal, misogynistic kind of mentality, this vertical up and down mentality that I am here and she is there and the children are underneath. But in fact, that's not how you build community. God builds community not in a line, but in a circle. Let me say that again. That God builds community not in a line, but a circle. We see linear, which is always oftentimes how we miss God's outworking, how we miss his intention, how we miss how he unfolds the thing because we're looking at a line, our family line. That's how we look at it. But when God creates family, God is creating a circle, right? And we sing it in church. Will the circle be unbroken, right? We say that, right? We say that it's a circle. Our parents, it's the thing that goes round and round. If he says there's nothing new under the sun, the earth is not flat, y'all. The earth doesn't go up and down. It goes around, right? That life is supposed to go around. So things we see today, if we live long enough, guess what? We'll see them again. Why? Because the earth goes around. Life is a circle. Right? So the objective is not for me to look down on you, but to look next to you, to see how things were done before and how things will be done after. And one generation looks at the previous generation and says, hey, let's improve our circle. Let's make sure that what is after us, not what is beneath us, but what is after us, do not have to pay the penalty or do not have to deal with broken weapons and tools that made it hard for us. Let's improve. And that's not changing anything. That's not changing anything. If you read the text, Revelation will end, in Genesis. And Genesis will begin Revelation. God finishes the end from the beginning. And it's all a circle. And so for us to have viewpoints that are linear, are just up and down, like I'm better than you, and this one is going to be, my sons are better than my daughters, and my nephews are better than my nieces, that is to miss the order and the sequence of God. Yes, absolutely. That's what it is. That's what it is. Right? And so, yes, we're creating fights. We're creating disconnects. We're creating all of that does not make any sense. We're creating an issue by which I am powerful. Why? Because I have taken someone else's power away from them, or I have sequestered or marginalized, right, their power. I have suppressed their agency to make myself more powerful. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if you don't see that, now here's the deal. Let me also say this. Part of the issue of building up sisters is that, there are some sisters that see themselves benefiting from misogyny and patriarchal systems. In other words, there are women also that believe like men believe. They don't believe that women should do this. And they don't believe that women should have this. And they don't believe that women should X, Y, Z. And they don't believe this and this. Right. And so when you see someone that might be stepping into her career, into her leadership, to her worth, her work, her value with confidence, you label her. When she's standing up for herself, you call her an angry woman, an angry black woman. That she's, the word that they use for that, right? And that's because you've never accommodated, you've never accommodated for the full work and value of a woman functioning in life. And so immediately when you are insecure and you are unlearned, then you will say, oh, she's trying to take advantage, or she's doing this, or she's doing that. You're mislabeling her. And that's a tragedy. And again, women do it to other women as well. Right? And all of the other responses to the State of the Union, all of them have stood in an official desk in the capacity of themselves being a congressman or a senator. But here it is, from the state of Alabama, you get a woman to respond to the State of the Union. I'm talking about when the president addresses the country and the world, talking about how he perceives the country is going. You stick her in a kitchen, right? Because I get it. You're trying to create a caricature because you're trying to use her to get who you think will be most likely to vote for you, or who's on the fence about voting for you, scaring women to death with a rape act, and incidentally, that did not even happen in this country, and not even under this administration. It happened under George W. Bush's administration. But you get her to make her a caricature of herself, a Stepford wife, to appeal to who? You scare her. You send her out with a message of fear because you need to use her persuasive power to get other women. A man could not have given the same thing. All while you're trying to do something with IVF and in vitro. You're trying to make them silent. You're trying to make them you vote this way and X, Y, Z and all this. That's what you're trying to do. You want to use them to manipulate other women, and that is patently unfair. That is super unfair. Unfair. And so we have to start thinking about all of this. This is a time and a moment in humanity that we need to see that we do need to have each other working together in the God-given roles and purposes that they have been given. That's what we need to do. Instead of trying to say, oh, no, you should be there. Women comprise most of the church. Let me say this again. Women comprise most of the church. Men comprise most of the front row. But women comprise most of the church. Let me say it one more time. Women comprise most of the church, from the choir stand to the usher board. Women comprise most of the church. Men comprise most of the front row and the pulpits, unfortunately, but women comprise most of the church. And when you have this kind of view of women and you teach that, what you're doing is contaminating their minds. And then we'll send our daughters to universities and colleges, right? That you want them to be better, but in the back of your mind, you already have a limitation of what she can and or cannot do. Absolutely. And see, what does that do? And how does she make history? How does she make history? If you don't give her an opportunity, if you don't give her a full chance. Yeah. How does that happen? And sisters, you know who I'm talking to. Are you okay with that? That God made you with a brilliant brain, a brilliant mind, gave you all these different kinds of things. You know, he said, let them have dominion, gave them co-dominion, and you got to sit on the stoop, right? You got to do X, Y, Z. Yeah, I get all. Why? And now here's what I'm not doing. See, if you hear me talking and you think that I'm saying, well, you telling the woman not to respect the man. No, that's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you we need to respect each other. Well, I do respect the bishop. I respect her. I respect her staying in her place. Well, who said that? If Big Mama had stayed in her place, where would the family be? Let's talk slavery for just a second. If those women had stayed in their place, how many more of our sons and our daughters would have been destroyed? If they were other people's mammies, if they didn't work for the structure, if they didn't put their bodies and their sexual agency on the line, where would families be? See, we have to start thinking centripetally, right? In a circle. We have to start thinking about all of this and not just from up and down, not just from the ranks that we have created. My God, my God. Yes, 205-752-4800. Give your boy a call, or you can hit me up on the chat. Let's talk a little bit about it right here on the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith, Praise 93.3. Gotta take a minute so I can breathe. But hey, keep it right here. The best is yet to come. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And we are back. It's the top of the hour right here on Praise 93.3 FM. That's right, 11 a.m. and some change. And we are having a blast as we have officially kicked off for us. Yeah, for me, because I haven't been live in the studio. Y'all know that I already told you, right? But welcome to those of you who are on our second half, second hour of our Women's History Month. I want to give a shout out to all of my sisters, absolutely, who make it happen for us every day. This show and this month is going to be dedicated, no doubt, to you. I'm super excited about what we are seeing from the sisters and the women and all that you have done, all that you are doing, and guess what? All that I know that you are going to do. I want to take a little segue here. Just to drop a line and drop a conversation that I think is important, something that is very dear to me. And that is, I want to talk a little bit about child abuse. And recently I was appointed to the board of directors of the Child Abuse Prevention Services right here in Tuscaloosa. And I wanted to give space because I know we always say our children are our future. And I think I've proven that on the Culture Call, because I believe that, hey, if we don't have children who are healthy, who are sound, who are strong, and who know who they are, if we don't make primary investment into the next generation, then guess what? We won't, as a community, have a future. But guess what? I love being a part of this organization because, hey, we want to make sure that our children are able to live and to have healthy minds. And, abuse happens so often, and so we are so silent and so protective in our community about children who have been abused because, it's a part of our family, a bloodline, depending on how that even goes. But this organization is opening up their mouth and raising their voice and say, hey, we've got to protect our children. And we've got something coming up that we're getting ready to talk about with the head. Yeah, the chairman of the board. We are here with him, Mr. Terry Banks. He's going to talk to us today about, how he got into this work, why it's important for us to look out for our children, and this special event that we have coming up next month that I want all of you to be a part of. And I'll tell you, welcome, Mr. Terry Banks. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, sir. Thank you, Bishop.
Oh, man, listen, I am so glad to have you on. You're such a busy guy, and I've been wanting you to come on. Yo, let me say this. I got to say this since this is my anniversary month. I am here because Terry Banks has me here. He asked me to do this, and I was like, yo, whatever. We are fraternity brothers, and he's always thinking out of the box and doing what he got to do. And so I just took a risk, having never been on radio before. And, the Culture Call exists in part because of Terry Banks. So we are grateful. I was going to have him on anyway to talk about, why was this important to have a voice for the community, because he is so community oriented. But I want to talk to you this morning, why I got you here, about this whole idea of child abuse prevention services, man. CAPS is a powerful organization. What got you into that? What got you into being a part of CAPS?
Well, child abuse is one of those things that it's ugly. There are many forms of child abuse.
Yeah.
A lot of people think when we say child abuse, we're thinking about physical abuse.
Right.
But we're talking about other phases of child abuse. Mm-hmm. Neglect.
Yeah.
Food. Mm-hmm. Verbal abuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Housing.
Yeah.
Clothing.
Wow.
It's just so many phases of child abuse. And having grown up, with methamphetamine.
Yeah.
I was close to it.
Yeah.
Not saying that I was abused, but I've seen it
happen
on all levels.
Right.
And so when I was asked to be a part of the board of directors some years ago, and got really close to it, it's something that I just took on. I'm just 100% all in, because it is a ugly situation. And I don't want any of our kids to be neglected.
Right.
So this organization, and thank you for being a part of this board.
Oh, no doubt. My pleasure.
And then before I go further, I want to say that the Culture Call is one of the hottest
Man, I appreciate it.
Listen. In West Alabama.
Hey, we do it better when we do it together. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, this organization has been around for more than 40 years.
Wow. Okay.
We have several board members, as you know, and then we have staff workers or educators.
Yeah.
Our educators go into the city and county schools.
Okay.
Monday through Friday.
Wow.
They're all they're our paid staff. So it takes dollars to keep doing this.
Right.
And they're tasked with educating the students and administration on what to look for when a child is being abused.
Wow.
And that's Monday through Friday.
Wow.
And we have, last count, we had about 18 educators.
Wow.
So, and that's a perfect segue to what I want to talk about.
Right.
Which is why we need help with this
funding.
Event.
Right.
So, if I may.
Yeah, you could listen. Go ahead, because I'm here to say amen. Right. Yes, right.
So we have this event has become one of the biggest events in West Alabama.
Wow. Okay.
You were there last year.
Yeah.
It's called our Blue Gala, our Blue Ribbon Gala.
Right. Correct.
It's going to take place at the Embassy Suites. It's our fourth one. We're going to have live entertainment. There's going to be a cocktail hour. There's going to be dancing. And this year, we're implementing the Chicago-style step-off.
Oh, wait. Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. The Chicago style step off.
The Chicago style step off.
You bringing that to Tuscaloosa?
We bring that to Tuscaloosa.
Listen, do you know that the Chicago folks don't play?
They don't play with it. I've never done it.
Yeah.
But I've seen it on YouTube. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to get one of my. Listen, I got an elder in my church. He knows all the line dances. He gonna have to teach me because when I come, I want to make sure I know. Wow, that is gonna be. Y'all, and don't try it, church folks. Y'all know. I've seen you at these parties around the city. Y'all know how to do all these line dances. The Chicago step is one of the most difficult line dances, but it's beautiful, man.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful if it's done correctly.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. I had a couple in our church that knew how to do it. Man, just to look at them, it's like they floating. I was like, what is going on?
The dance is unbelievable.
Wow.
And I hope we're looking for 10 contestants.
Okay.
To participate. There will be a grand prize winner.
Right.
But this is our first time doing this. We want the gentleman to put on the gear, the hat, the entire get-up.
To go all out on it.
Just go all on. This is going to be a fantastic event. So we're going to implement the Chicago style step off.
Right.
It's going to be at the Embassy Suites.
Yeah.
April 26th. Okay. Starts at 6 p.m. Now, we have 140 tickets to sell.
Okay.
And the tickets are $100 a piece.
Okay.
And we just started selling the ticket
right
a couple of days ago.
Okay.
We're hoping to sell every ticket.
Right.
140 tickets. And we have now you can get a table of 10.
Okay.
For $1,000.
Okay, cool.
Every cent goes to the fight against child abuse.
Yeah.
Every cent.
Wow.
We support a lot of organizations.
Right.
We need to support our organization.
Absolutely. And I think I think on our last meeting, you were just talking about how, our ball is probably on the lower end in terms of $100 because there's some organizations around here charging, $300 and $400 per ticket.
And not getting discounted entertainment.
Right. And not getting and not even focusing on that kind of service. You know what I'm saying? And we pay that same amount for our frat balls, our sorority balls, and all that goes to scholarships. But hear me, y'all. It is important that we are able to fund the educators that go in and work and identify and help administrators in schools with the kids identifying where they've been neglected, where they've been abused. And we have got to, $100 is low. Again, knowing what I know, I was talking to a friend yesterday from Atlanta. Terry, listen, this dude says that he is a part of an organization where they pay up to $750 to $1,000 a ticket.
I believe it.
I was like, what in the world? I was like, no. And so think about it. If that's $140,000, divide that by 18, right? And you see, it's not as much as we think it is, but we've got to pay our educators to go in because we cannot have a child lost unnecessarily to any kind of abuse or neglect. We've got to pay it forward. We've got to do that. So those of you who are listening to me today, that's right, today, I need you to go ahead and get your ticket and be in that room. Last year, it was great. I mean, the food was good. The entertainment was hilarious. I had a comic last year. Everything was good from A to Z. I need you, Culture Call. I need you to get on. How do you get these tickets? How do you even get a ticket?
They can call me directly. At 205-310.
Okay.
3255. Or they can contact the CAPS office.
CAPS, right.
At 205-758-1159.
That's 205-758-1159. Child Abuse Prevention Services. You can go ahead and make sure that you call in and get your ticket. Because I believe they're not going to last long. Because we're not only just advertising on Praise 93. We're doing all stations. We're doing social media. If you see a flyer, yes, I need you to participate. I'm going to be there. I'm going to hug, shake your hand, give you an autograph if you want one, take a picture. Yes, you need to be in that room. Because guess what? If you've ever been a child, if you've been a child that's been abused or ever been around one, you understand the work that has to be done on you mentally. Go ahead.
And you know what, Bishop?
What up?
Everybody knows everybody knows someone that's been abused.
Absolutely.
This issue is widespread.
Yeah.
And we're trying to, and then we're looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
We're looking for volunteers for CAPS. We're looking for board members.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for people who just want to volunteer the time to help these kids in West Alabama.
Yeah.
And that's our goal too. We're trying to help every kid.
Right. In West Alabama, not just Tuscaloosa, but West Alabama. It is important, y'all. It is important. It is important. From the city to the rural areas, if you know a child that's being abused or has been abused, you ought to get a ticket to support, because that's who we're supporting. And I'm definitely want to promote this today. I wanted him to come on so we could talk about it. And Terry, listen, what are some of the things you wish to see from CAPS in the future?
I want to see more educators from CAPS in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, of course, it takes dollars. I want to get the word out about CAPS in every corner. I want the geographic footprint to grow.
Yeah.
West Alabama good, but I want CAPS to be big, to be regional.
Yeah.
Nationwide even.
Right.
Because the issue is that big.
It is.
So, I want to see I have a vision of more vehicles.
Yeah.
So that we can reach more kids and more students.
Yeah.
Every time you listen to the radio or read the Tuscaloosa thread, you're probably going to read something about an abused child.
Yeah.
Or look on the television and see it. It's widespread. It's an ugly thing. I want to see CAPS grow.
Yeah.
I want the community to be involved in CAPS. Call us up, come by the office, ask questions, and just get involved and help us support these kids.
Absolutely. And saving a child's life, because lately, man, I've been seeing more increased child abuse at times. So, there are some people that should not even have children for what they have done to these kids and what they are doing to the kids, and, throwing kids in trash cans and not feeding them, keeping them in basements, locking them up in closets, and, just how even to that person who might be not abuser, but you're in Walmart and the child picks up a toy and you cussing the child out, using profanity at the child. They're doing what children do. Yes, I understand discipline. I understand, but there are more ways than discipline than picking up an extension cord or something that can not just leave marks on their skin.
I totally agree.
But marks on their soul, on their mind. So we've got to start thinking about that culture call. And I agree with you, Terry. It's got to expand. If we don't expand, it's got to expand. If we don't do that, man, these kids going to go, listen, and they can't learn in school.
They can't learn in school. And that's and we have, and our educators are real educators.
Yeah.
This is not somebody that we just call an educator. These people are certified teachers.
Yeah.
Certified.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to be on the radio.
Yeah.
But I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about this. I want the community of West Alabama to get involved, and especially our community.
That's right. The black community. See, he said all. Let me call you what you are. The black community. We have got to participate and support child abuse prevention services.
Bishop, if I may?
Yeah.
We're putting on a first-class event.
You are.
This is a first-class event.
Yeah.
There's not much going on in April.
Yeah.
I'm asking these people, come on out, get your ticket.
Yeah.
You're going to have an enjoyable time. It's at the Embassy Suites. You're going to have a great time. And I repeat, every dime, nickel, penny, dollar goes to prevent child abuse.
He does not get not one dime.
Not one dime.
No board member does get a dime. It all goes to the educators and support staff of making sure that child abuse prevention services continues to run with efficiency and excellence. We've got to have that. That is a non-negotiable. And so, Culture Call, I want you guys who listen to me every day, who say, oh, Bishop, your show is doing X, Y, Z, and I need each and every one of you
$100.
$100.
That's it.
Listen, $100. And sacrifice that. That's right. I'm telling you, I was there last year. It was my first time being there, and we had an amazing time. We had an explosive time. It was well laid out, and again, I'm a foodie. That food was that food was good.
Was good.
Yeah, it wasn't no dried chicken. No, it wasn't that. It was some good old food. Come out and support. And what's the date again, Terry? What's the date again?
April 26th.
April 26th. What
6
time?
p.m.
6 p.m. That's right.
Embassy Suite.
And right. Do we have to dress anyway?
Oh yeah, you got to come. Like I do.
Yeah, oh Lord, have mercy. Put on your clothes. That's what he's trying to tell you. Put on your clothes, brothers. Put on your clothes, sisters. Put on your clothes, and get ready to win that Chicago step off.
I cannot wait to see that.
That's gonna be great. Now you know they gotta have that music right now.
Music's gonna be right.
They ain't making Chicago step music from 2024. We got to go back a while. So those of you who would love to have a good time and love your oldies and stuff, it's gonna be an amazing time.
If I may just throw this out there, because we're doing the gala this year. But next year, if I could just tease it a little bit.
Yeah.
Next year, we're having an adult prom.
Oh.
At the Embassy Suites.
Oh. An adult prom, you say?
An adult prom.
Oh. So some of y'all who weren't able, I was able to go to both of my junior and senior prom. But if you weren't able to go, this is going to be a good time. Go ahead and get your ball gowns and get your tuxedos.
Ball gown right now.
Don't listen. Don't act like you don't want to go to the prom. You wanted to go to the prom.
Everybody wanted to go to the prom.
Everybody wanted to go to the prom. It was a major event when we were growing up. Listen, but it's not too late. Next year is going to be your chance. But don't wait till next year. Come this year and see how we do the thing and go ahead and prepare and plan now. And listen, I mean, they got Classy Threads, a bunch of places. A bunch of stylists can help you. If you don't know how to dress yourself, somebody can make you look like how you want to look. You'll look like Cinderella. Hello, when you come out to the adult prom. Listen, 2025, we're looking forward to it. But 2024, we want you to go ahead and get these $100 tickets. Right.
If I made one more.
Go ahead, man.
I have to call out the Divine Nine.
You got to do that.
I got to call them out.
You got to do that.
I mean, we do a lot of stuff. We go to a lot of balls.
Listen. I had to leave last year to go to an AKA thing the same day. They had the same day, right?
So I'm calling out the Noops.
Right.
The Kappas, my brothers.
That's right. Yo.
I'm calling out the Sigmas.
Yeah.
The Omegas, the Alphas.
Yeah.
I'm calling out the AKAs.
Deltas.
The Deltas.
Sigma Gamma Rho.
Sigma Gamma Rho.
All of y'all. And Iotas. That's right. All of y'all.
It's $100.
Yeah.
Per ticket. It is a great cause.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows somebody or some child that has been abused.
Oh, no doubt about it. As a teacher, as a former teacher in the classroom, it is something to see a child who's been abused trying to learn and working through tears, breaking out in the middle of a lesson and just start crying, and you're trying to figure out, they don't want to go home. They want to stay home. Or, Mr. Smith, can I go home with you? And I'm like, well, I got 2 kids at the house. I can't bring another child home. Right. But to see them just want to stay at school because they know when they get home what's going to happen. Hey, guess what? We can help that child. In West Alabama. We can be that child's safety net if we would just participate and support child abuse prevention services.
So another thing that we're doing next, we're doing our Easter egg hunt in April.
Okay.
Another thing that we do for kids, we have a beauty pageant for kids.
Oh wow!
And we crown a queen, we crown a king.
Wow!
And we have different age groups, and I may get this wrong, but I'm going to say from ages 8 to 13. And you should see these kids when they come out and they're strutting,
right?
And they have on their gear, and they sing, they say speeches, they talk, they do poetry, they do poems,
and
they put their talent on display.
And that is something to see, y'all. Let's be a part of building that. Let's be a part. You know, if we get something wrong, Jaden, them, they'll let us know.
Yeah.
Y'all got that wrong. It is okay. No problem. We can fix it.
It is something to see.
It is something to see our children on display, doing what God has given them to do and showing other people. Listen, having been on stage all the time, being on stage all the time, it's not easy getting on stage, doing what you do. So let's come out and support our kids. Listen, Terry, in our closing moments, how can we, give us a recap of how we can support child abuse prevention services beyond the ball? Because we know y'all gonna get this $100 ticket, but how can we support, child abuse per caps, after that, until then? How can we do that?
Number one, you can always support caps with your treasurer. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you're giving $1 a week, $1 a month.
Sure.
You can always, we need your treasurer for that. Mm-hmm. But then we do a lot of the things. We do canned food drives. Mm-hmm. We give away turkeys and hams during Christmas and Thanksgiving. Wow. This picnic that we're doing, this Easter that we're doing this month. Yeah. Is financed by CAPS. Wow. We're not asking anybody for anything. They're going to be, last year there were over 100 kids out in Snow Hidden Park. Wow. 100 kids or more. Wow. And we had food, potato chips, drinks, everything you can think of was there at the park. Or just show up and just show up at CAPS. Yeah. And just see what we do. Walk around the office. Yeah. And you'll see that we give away toys. We have painting contests. We have drawing contests. We are always, we pour into these kids. Mm-hmm. This is not a Monday through Friday thing. We do this 7 days a week. Wow. So just drop by the CAPS office. They can contact the executive director, Lisa Maddox, if they want to get more information. That's great. About CAPS. It's a organization that's on point, and I'm asking and urging and petitioning everybody to get involved in this organization. Absolutely. But I am super glad that you all have afforded me the opportunity to serve on the board of directors, and with everything that I can do, not just from being on the culture call and bringing you on and talking about it and bringing it to our awareness, but even in church, and the churches need to get involved too. The pastors, if you're listening to me, bring your wives out or get some tickets and, give them to your members and however that we want you to support. It is so important that we connect and be a part. Y'all, let me say it again. It is important that we connect with child abuse prevention services and make sure that we are able, that whole idea, that piece about educators is so important, y'all. Because they got to be skilled, knowledgeable, but they got to be sensitive and compassionate, not just to the kids, but even to the adults or to parents who may come in and say, "Hey, I'm suffering from, I am one of the villains in the child abuse story. I'm committing this on my child. Can I get help?" Do we provide that? Don't we provide that too? We help parents who are the abusers. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we do. Right. And here's the thing: we're not just showing up at the school. We're not just showing them saying, "Hey, let us in." Yeah. We are a part of the school. We're part of that. We teach that class for 1 hour about physical and physical abuse and sexual abuse. We teach that class for 1 full hour, Monday through Friday, with 18 plus educators and staff members. Right. So let's do what we got to do. West Alabama, all over the country. I know I got some Philly listeners. I got some listeners in Richmond, Virginia. I've got some listeners in Tallahassee, Florida, Miami, Dallas, Texas, Houston. Listen, you don't have to be in Alabama, in West Alabama to support. You can support the Child Abuse Prevention Services by giving us your donation. I can't come, Terry, but I can give $100. I can give $50. All of that goes to making sure that we are able to support our children the way that they need to be supported. Terry, I want to thank you for taking out time to coming on the show. We've got just a couple of minutes before our next break, but I want to thank you because this is so important. This is so very important that we talk about. I think we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about it nearly enough.
We don't talk about it enough, because everybody's that what goes on in this house. Y'all know that thing we say, what goes on in this house, stay in this house. Now, some of the stuff that goes on in your house, especially if it goes on there, it's better for us to show up there to help you create, parenting skills than for the police to show up there and worship the ambulance to show up there.
If I may?
Yeah, go ahead.
And if I'm saying this wrong, please correct me,
Right.
because I'm about to say something. I hope it's okay.
Well, you go ahead.
Abused children. We have to get this thing out by the root.
Yeah.
Because I believe that abused children can make abused children.
I agree. Abused children become abusers. And we've got to break that cycle. Yeah, we do. We have to take part responsibility in making sure that this systemic cultural phenomena, we know it happens in other ethnicities, but this is a primarily black community radio station. You listening to me, black folks, we got to stop that. We can't continue to cover up the physical and the sexual and the emotional abuse. Ways that we were disciplined back in the day, we need to look at that. Some of them did what they knew how to do. But now, ignorance, Child Abuse Prevention Services is making sure that ignorance is not your excuse. That we need to look at that and find various and different ways to make sure that our homes are healthy and our children grow up healthy. And, hey, we want you to go by. And where is it located? Because the physical building is located downtown, right?
The physical building, the CAPS office?
Yeah.
The CAPS office is located in Northport.
Oh, in Northport, okay.
In the Energy Center.
That's where it is, in the Energy Center. Listen, I'm telling you, you got to make sure that just stop by. Just stop by and say, hey, I'm interested in volunteering. I'm interested, or because we operate in confidentiality, or I know a child that's being abused. Can y'all go help them? Right? But listen, we need these 100 bones for our Blue Ribbon Gala that's coming up on April 26th at 6 p.m. at the Embassy Suites downtown Tuscaloosa. It's going to be a wonderful affair. I need you to go ahead and get your ticket. That's right. Call into the office at 205-758-1159. Call there now. 205-758-1159 and tell them I want my Blue Ribbon Gala ticket. I want to be in the room with Terry and Bishop at the gala at the Embassy Suites. Terry, I want to thank you so very much for making this today possible and to come and talking about the great work that CAPS does for our community and beyond, setting a course for the future for all of our children. That's right. Listen, y'all, this is the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3. Having a marvelous day. I need y'all to keep it right here. Get your little water, get your little tea, whatever you need, get your little snack, and keep it right here. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And we are back. That's right. On the Culture Call right here with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3, your inspiration station. And man, how about that last interview? Want to thank and give a big shout out to Mr. Terry Banks, the board chairman. That's right. The chairman of the board of directors of the Child Abuse Prevention Services. And I want to encourage each and every one of you to go ahead and get a ticket to our Blue Ribbon Gala. I'm pleased to serve on the board and make it happen. And I'm telling you, for these kids, we got to do something for our children. Wouldn't you agree? Absolutely. Listen, want to remind you that not only that, but all of the agencies that benefit our community, we need to support. We need to support every agency that benefits our community outside of our fraternities and sororities. And yes, we support our churches with our tithes and our offerings and our seeds. But there are other community oriented programming that we need to support as well. And you'd be surprised how far your $1, $5, $20 goes in making their overall budget happen so that we can maintain excellence in our services in our community. I think it's so very, very important. Listen, Dr. Maya Angelou said something very powerful. You don't need another person, place, or thing to make you whole. God already did that. Your job is to know it. Man, isn't that powerful? Let me say that again for those of you who might have missed that. Dr. Maya Angelou said, you don't need another person, place, or thing to make you whole. God already did that. Your job is to know it. And on this Women's History Month, that I think that's a word for every sister. You need to hear that. That, there are charts, literal sociological charts, psychological charts that derive from the 14th and 1500s that set up values of worth and charts of worth and value, and to see where they placed women, black women in particular, is amazing. That everything black was on the same level as chattel, which is animals, which is donkeys, mules, all that. And that's the chart that they were functioning with at that time. And even some people believe that now. And so the words of Dr. Angelou ring just, loudly in my heart and in my soul, not just to black people, but this month, black women, that you don't need another person. I don't have no man. I don't have no kids. I don't have it. No. She said you don't need another person, place, or thing to make you whole. God already did that. God, listen, whether men give you license or not, whether they let you stand in the pulpit or not, whether they vote for you to be the head of the organization or not, whether they see you as someone that just needs to be barefoot and pregnant or in the boudoir satisfying their intimate needs, whether they see you and that's their limited view of you or not, you are not lidded by how they think. It's not what they call you, it's what you answer to, sis. Your job, as she says, is to know what God has already done. And this is why I started off this morning saying that the message of Jesus Christ is bookmarked in time between one Mary and another Mary. That even when Jesus arose, he was still dealing with the dysfunctions and the fear and the faithlessness of male men. Yes, absolutely. But from the beginning, one Mary, to the end, the other Mary that came that early morning and said, hey, he's not here. And she went to tell the disciples who were hiding, who were all men. Right? That it is your job to know it. It is your job to stand 10 toes down in who God has made you to be. Whether people recognize, whether systems and institutions recognize you or not, it is your responsibility, sis, to see that God has already made you whole, complete. He has already given you everything that you needed to be successful, to achieve, to be the best you can be in this life. And how dare anyone, male or female, Jew or Greek, Democrat or Republican, negotiate, use your humanity, use your physiology, use your body, use your mind as a negotiation tool for their own power. No. Regardless of what you think about me, I know who God has made me. And that, my sisters, you can stand on. That is something that you must walk away with, knowing that God made me who I am. Fearfully and wonderfully made does not just apply to men. But no, it applies to you too, sis. It applies to the person that you see in the mirror. Oh, daughter of Zion. Oh, daughter of Jerusalem. Right? You beautiful Nubian princess. That is the part and parcel that you live with every day. And I know it's been a hard road. It may have been. Maybe when you walk in the room, your voice and what you do, your gifting is intimidating. Listen, you didn't give yourself the gift. All good and perfect gifts come from the Father. That's what the text says in James. Right? And you cannot control how someone views you in the light of their gift. Let me say that again. You cannot control how someone else's insecurity makes them look when you utilize your gifts. Do what you do. Be who God has called you to be. Stand in what God has called you to stand in. Absolutely. You know, I'm reminded of my mother when she, in the denomination that we were in, they would not even ordain her. They would not. But they would always put her up because when she came, people came to hear her. And she preached with power. One of the biggest churches in our area was built by a woman, Pastor Inez Middleton. She built that church, and it's still standing today with a school attached. And I'm not talking about this little hood. No, I'm talking about a school attached. I walked in it and saw it from the ground up myself, from a little country place where the bathroom used to be an outhouse. She built that church into a conglomeration that even now today, her daughter is the principal of that church. Teresa, she's the principal of that church, of that school now. See, you got to know what God has made you. And you got to tell not just yourself, but tell your daughters. We spend a lot of time boosting up little boys, and we should. Telling them and asking them what they want to be. You know, we spend a whole lot of time pouring into them because we want our sons to be major. And as a bythought, we will pour into our daughters, but not too much because we don't want that kind of daughter. Well, absolutely not. I poured into my girls just like I poured into my boys. I want my boys to be great, but I want my daughters to be great as well. Yes, absolutely. I told her last night while we were having some dinner. Yeah, I said, listen, I don't know who he going to be that comes into your life. Make room for him, but I'm going to have a conversation with this joker. That her daddy and her brothers, her uncles will wipe you from the face of the earth if you act as if she does not have agency, if you mistreat her. I told her, she's like, but can't we do that before? I said, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it when I want to do it. I'm going to do it at the wedding. Before I pronounce you man and wife, I want you to know that I've spent a lifetime of pouring into her and pulling her out of the shadows and telling her she's beautiful and, you know, making sure that she had everything she needed. I did all of that, and I didn't do that to put her in the hands of an individual and yoke her up and partner her up with someone that's going to see her lesser than, or she's going to play herself down just to make himself feel up or feel good. Absolutely not. No. That before she leaves my covering and becomes a part of your team, sir, you're going to see her in the light that her daddy sees her. And all that men would see women in the light that her father, and I'm not talking about her natural father, I'm talking about her heavenly father sees her. That she is a woman of worth. She's a woman of genius. She's a woman of value. And all of you listening to me today that might be in systems and jobs and churches and all other things that you're a part of, but they look at you as just the help, as subservient, as a rank beneath, that your voice is not empowered to address concerns like they are, simply because of what they have been assigned biologically. I want you to listen what Dr. Maya Angelou said. You don't need another person, place, or thing to make you whole. The text tells us you are complete in him. And although that you is plural, I want you to use that you as a singular denotation of you, yourself. Yeah, I am complete in him. That everything that I need to function in this earth has been already given of me. If I would reveal it, if I would pursue it, if I would partake in it, I don't have to sit at the little kids' table as an adult. That I can be called of God and I can do all that he calls me to do. And this thing is not sequestered simply to the masculine gender or the male or the men. No. Men have roles, and we don't tear down any man to build up any woman. But we will not tear down any woman simply to build up any man. No. This is a partnership of humanity. This is something that we need to live off. This is something that we need to educate our daughters and our sons, our nieces and our nephews. They need to hear this. They need to be empowered. They say everything you are, you already have. God has made you whole. God already, man, that thing resonates with me. God already did that. And he didn't make any mistakes. Isn't that what we say? God don't make mistakes. Okay, good. Well, God made you exactly how powerful and anointed and called and genius and inspiring and influential as you are. It's your job, sis. It's your job, whether anybody else does. It's your job, my sister, to know it and to walk in it. Watch this. Without apology. Stop it. No more apologies. Be exactly who God has called you to be. Listen, I see the runway. We're about to land this plane on another amazing show. But do me a favor. Go ahead to the kitchen or wherever you are, to the lunchroom, and get you something. Refresh yourself. We got a little bit more to go, and I need you to keep it locked right here. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
My goodness, we've had an amazing day on the Culture Call. I'm telling you, and we couldn't have done it without you. Again, send a special shout out to Mr. Terry Banks, Board Director of the Child Abuse Prevention Services. Listen, I want to encourage all of you in these last few moments to go ahead and get your ticket. That's right. Go ahead and get your ticket so that you can be a part of what we are doing at CAPS, right? Helping preserve, helping protect, and educate those, our children and those who service them. We want to make sure that our kids are healthy and are doing well in life. Yeah, I know that's all of our desire. It's only $100, not a lot of money at all. Not a lot of money at all. And so, yeah, definitely make that wise investment. Again, I want to empower and celebrate all of my sisters, from my wife to my daughter to my mother-in-law, my mom, rest her soul, and to all of the amazing women, my sisters, grandmothers, the amazing women at the Impact Nation Fellowship Church, and not just my church, but all of the women who serve in every church, in every space, in every place. We cannot do and could not have done what we have done without you. It is up to us to know it and to walk in it and to not apologize for it. Paul says, in our closing, Paul says, I am what I am by the grace of God, and that grace was not given to me in vain. That's a powerful text. And I live by that. That there are people that, might have an issue, might be a little jealous. You know, they have an issue of how you present yourself. And it's nothing that you're doing. It's just, sis, it's just the agency. It's just that what God has given you to walk in. And what the scripture says and what Dr. Angelou reminds us is that you don't have to apologize. Just know it. I know it's grace. You got to know it's grace on you. And that grace is so amazing. It's so awesome. It's going to help you accomplish things that you probably never thought that you would accomplish. This morning, I talked to the winners, and I said, hey, post here what you're wanting me to agree with you, because I want to touch and agree, you know. I want to be your prayer partner. And so many, nothing but women right now have hit the post and said, you know, I'm up for a new job. I'm up for this. I'm up for that. And I'm like, yo, this is amazing. This is that there are women doing some phenomenal things in the world currently. And I want to encourage that. I'm excited about that. Be excited about that. You don't have to make any kind of excuse and or explanations to anybody who's not even doing a modicum of what you're doing. Just be, as my daddy would say, what God has called you and made you to be. And know that's what you're supposed to do. So everything I do it with confidence. Or at least you're going to think I'm confident. I'll do it shaking until I get my courage and find it and do what I know God has called me to do. And I want to encourage, especially all of my sisters, to do the same. You are important. And any system or any area that says that you are not, you don't have to pay attention to that. God already did what he's going to do in you. And you got to stand 10 toes down in it. That's right. Absolutely. Listen, like my grandmama and my mama would say at the end of every phone call, I love you a bushel, I love you a peck, and I love you a hug around the neck. This has been the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3, your inspiration station. Thank you for making today's show exactly what it is, a blockbuster. Couldn't have done it without you. Listen, be kind, love someone, love intentionally, hug a lot, smile a lot, be at peace with everyone around you as much as you possibly can. Until we meet again tomorrow, you all be blessed and have a great day. Peace.